Hello, hello, and happy Thursday to everybody out there in Facebook land and on replay, no matter where you catch it, on YouTube, on Facebook, or in any groups. So this week, my intuitive planning has certainly been thrown askew. But, you know, the more you begin to work with it, the more you really begin to fine-tune what you can do and what you can expect. And I don't mean to jump into this right now because I know people are still waiting to jump on to the live version of this video. But I do want to say it has been Mercury retrograde, and I just spent like a good 15 minutes trying to understand why I couldn't go live on my phone, but it's perfectly fine on my computer. But that means I don't get a little tiara. Because I don't have, for some reason, I don't have the little live Giphy things on my laptop version of Facebook versus my phone version of Facebook. I'd love to see that all get synchronized. That would be awesome. Because I prefer to be on my computer, but I get a better camera quality on my phone. Weirdness of how to get things done the way you need to get things done. But that's kind of what we're talking about today. Anyway. That, and I got a new deck. This is, I just had the box. Here it is. This is the Crystal Visions Tarot. And it showed up in 2 days from Amazon. Amazing. Amazing that. See, until this past month, 2 months or so, I lived in the woods. And living in the woods meant that all my mail took an extra 3 days to get to me, no matter what it was, even if it was mailed from in the valley versus on top of the mountain. Same region, 10 minutes away. It still took an extra 3 days for everything to get there. And my lord would be calling over something, and he'd be like, "Didn't you get that yet?" And I'm like, "No, our mail still has to go to Hanover, then the mountain, and then it has to be delivered to a rural route." It's like, well, fine. Call me when you get it. I'm like, but I actually got my Amazon package in 2 days. So I was absolutely thrilled that, living in the city, whoa, we're not even a big city, but still. But I love this deck. And this deck was, I like this deck better than the one I was using to read before. And I was using the Green Witch Tarot deck. And I liked that deck. I'm not going to say I didn't like it. I'm not going to say don't buy it. It is a nice deck. But especially for doing paid readings and needing to keep up with like the flow of the customer, not getting too ahead of myself. Especially if I'm doing like a live chat or something like that. The back of the other deck was not symmetrical. And it had a big old pentacle on the back, and the pentacle was either upright or upside down. So you always knew as you were flipping cards where this was going. You just had to see what card it was going to be. But it was distracting to my brain if I was doing a whole bunch of yes or no questions for people just to get a track on where the situation is going for them. So I'm happy that this one is completely symmetrical and I won't be able to tell. Hello, peoples. Facebook is not telling me who you are. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. It's Facebook. Sometimes it works that way. Sometimes it doesn't. But especially for reading, having to do readings for other people, paid readings, the decks I would use for me are not the decks I would use for other people, especially since a lot of those questions and a lot of those people want to know things about love and career. And the decks I would choose for myself tend to be a lot more cut and dry. Yes or no. Sorry, I know you wish that happened, but this is how it's going to play out. Because that's just the way I am with my stuff. That's the way my guides are with me. So I choose a lot more softer voiced deck when I'm reading for other people. So now this is the Devil card in the Crystal Visions Tarot deck. Can't get a good. There we go. And it's very it kind of taps into a lot of the mythos around temptation rather than something like the traditional Rider-Waite, where you got this huge ass devil standing behind two chained people. This really calls to mind that, you know, temptation isn't always what we think it is, and distraction isn't always the thing that we can easily identify. So it's a lot more subtle, and I like that deck, or I like that card in this deck. And let's see if I could actually find it. I do like the Death card in this deck. And I like this card. This card is, you're not going to find this in many other decks. This is the Unknown card, and it is a complete extra card in this deck. And it kind of symbolizes like maybe the hand of fate, or maybe that there is a choice that you need to make before any of the options can become a clear route for you, a clear path for you. So like maybe like the hand of fate or the hand of your own free will at play here. And that's kind of the way I read anyway. So I was very excited to get that card. Plus I love it. I love her. She's awesome. And I love her crystal ball. So I was like, ooh, I can see how that would come up in like all of my readings. Because I'm always like, well, what are you going to choose? And I just want to show you that Death card. This is just pretty. I love the moon. She's standing with two wolves. And there's my horrible nail polish job that I have to fix soon. I am going on a cruise on the 15th. And so, and now that we get to slow down a little on some of the packing and unpacking, now I have to start packing all over again because I have to get ready for the cruise. But, you know, that also means that I'm going to, you know, get a haircut and do my nails and start to feel like a person again and not just a grunt worker. There's the Death card. So it still has some of the traditional elements of, you know, the angel of death. But I love the butterflies. It's almost like the angel of death isn't causing death, but releasing the soul so they can go to the afterlife or the other side or the summer lands, however you choose to look at that. I love the butterflies on it, kind of symbolizing that. So it's not that death is this evil, horrible thing, and it's, you know, it looks like it's marching off to battle as it would in the Rider-Waite. The Rider-Waite. Yes. I can speak straight today. All right, so what the heck is intuitive planning? And why is it important? Because it, you know, even to me, having to come up with these concepts so I can explain it to people and market it and do all this stuff, that wasn't necessarily an organic process in my own thinking, of course. This is all stuff I have to build to because I choose to be in business. It's not something that just comes. It's not something that even my guides or angels are going to be like, oh, yeah, that's a wonderful marketing plan. Especially since a lot of my people aren't even like from this realm ever. But anyway, so intuitive planning is when you can use your intuition to validate or inspire our plans, our goals, or, you know, little step-by-step kind of stuff, and the timing around all of that. Because it's easy to throw an action plan together, to think about, you know, well, what's going to come next, and how can I break this down so that I can get 3 things done tomorrow. And we can look that stuff up almost anywhere. Any coach who has been through any training is going to be able to tell you how to build an action plan. I can tell you how to build an action plan. I've done all that. I am action plan master. But that didn't mean I got all those action plans to work. And when it came down to it, how I began to understand what was holding me back from just being able to put an action plan into full action, it was a lot. It was me. And it was my mindset, and it was where my energy was. And a lot of coaches will tell you that too. But what they aren't saying is that if you are intuitive, or if you are creative, or if you are a person who is going to be not so linear and logical, if you need to build in those extra times and spaces where you can like just let spirit talk to you about something because you need to make up your mind, or you need to make up your heart even about what you're doing and how you're doing it, then all your little action plans and all the little logical steps that seem are going to go together, they're not. And they're not going to come together the way you think they will. Because as I'm coming to understand this, and this is only like my second or third year into this, and I wrote my book on this because it was like, I see the missing step for intuitives and creatives. And the missing step, in a way, the missing idea behind getting your heart and your soul in alignment with all the little plans and all the little things and all the little baby steps you have to make the action plan work, is that the planning process is not linear, especially for us. The planning process is creative and intuitive by nature until what you're trying to do and what you're trying to change becomes part of your routine. Because once it's in your routine, it's in your energy system, it's in your mind, you have clarity on it, you don't have to sit there and doubt and question it. Before it becomes routine, though, you have to build and grow that routine. When you're trying something new or aiming for different results, you're going to need new energies, new support systems, new structure in your life, new faith, new ideas about what you're even capable of. And all of that doesn't happen in the linear process of the planning. All that happens when we look to expanding ourselves. So we're growing into our plans. So we're coming into alignment with our potential to bring this into being. And that might sound like this whole convoluted thing and a whole other like level of planning that everybody has to learn, but it isn't. This is simply learning how your intuitive process is already working. So you can get that shit worked out and in alignment to then make the plan. And working with your intuition and your creative side, it's going to be influenced by the astrology of what's happening, what stars and planets are in alignment, not in alignment with you, or you're not in alignment with them, really. What feels are coming through from your life situation, from the people around you, from the stars and planets, there's a lot of external influence to process through and realize what is truly random, what we just picked up, versus what has some connection point within us, like the wound or the thought that we're finding resonance with. Those tones and themes are going to be similar to other people. So if we're in business or we're in a field where we need to work with people, that larger scope of what's happening on the intuitive side, what's happening on the empathic side, it's going to bring us back to oneness. Now, all of our feelings might not be exactly the same. We might not all have had the same exact events happen in our lives or the same exact reasons why we're finding resonance with these larger universal themes and feelings and influences. But there is a oneness in that things go a little crazy for people during Mercury retrograde, whether it's, what's it called? When you think something and it happens, whether it's that level or whether it's just that, you didn't pay you didn't set your internet up right and now it's having a lot more problems, one way or the other. There's still some craziness that is experienced during Mercury retrograde. But all of this is important because so often what stops us, especially as an empath, especially as a creative, especially as an intuitive, is that when we start experiencing disconnect with our plans, we don't know necessarily what went wrong. And we don't necessarily where we went wrong. We just know all of a sudden this thing doesn't seem to be working anymore. And we feel this sense of disconnection, not to the plan, but then also to other people. And the people that we've tried to gain support from and the people that have tried to help figure this out. We no longer know what to ask, or we no longer know who to ask to get the answers we need. And there's this sense of loneliness behind it, like, I failed again. When really, you were just missing that first step. You were just missing the step that puts all the little pieces into alignment so that you are in alignment with what's going to happen, so that you aren't struggling with this one thing, this one little itty bitty baby step, and you don't know what to do to get through it. Because that new energy, that new support, that new faith, those new ideas, that new structure, that all needs to come from your own intuitive process. And yes, you can ask advice from people. That doesn't mean you're going to get the advice that you actually need. You still need your intuitive discernment, your spiritual discernment, and some common sense to realize what's actually speaking to you. And this is why that whole intuitive process already needs to be in place before we can whip out these action plans for these huge dreams that we have, for these huge visions, whether it's writing a book or beginning a business or even just being able to sustain a nonprofit. This is all very creative and very intuitive work. And we have to have that side of us already up and working before we can take on the challenges and the growth needed to manifest big shit in the world. Because that separation that we feel, that disconnect, is always an illusion. And it's not something that's actually meant to stop us, but it's just it's almost like the energy of a retrograde in general. It's asking us to stop and rehash. But so many times, because we're taking our manifestations and our planning so personally, because we want to see these huge things out in the world, we want to create change, that we take it so personally when it doesn't just fly off the shelves, or when it doesn't just happen as naturally as breathing. But that's not what the growth process is like. And we have to grow into these things. We have to nurture the intuitive process through this. We have to nurture our souls through this. And this is why I'm teaching intuitive planning. This is why I wrote my Dreamcasting book. Because without these things, we keep making these plans that have these completely unreal expectations about what we're capable of, about what this growth process is even going to be like. There's this huge disconnect between saying, like, I'm going to make these 10 phone calls for my direct selling business, and I'm going to get one yes maybe, and I'm going to do it again tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, without also taking into account the heart logic of doing those steps. The support system you need in order to make those phone calls and keep getting no's. And I know a lot of coaches are going to tell you just to suck it up. But it's not as easy as sucking it up, so much as being able to know where you are in your own process. And if you're at the process where you need to get past those no's and you need to get past the initial obstacles that come with building new momentum, if you don't recognize you're in that place, it's going to always feel like an uphill battle that you can't win. But once you recognize that, oh, this is the hard build, I need to put some blinders on. I need to find this place where I know what I'm aiming for, and I'm just gonna aim for that. I'm just gonna feel into that yes, I'm just going to find those people I am meant to resonate with right now. And that's the only reason why I'm making these phone calls, so that you are okay. You're okay. You are almost happy to get a no, because you are one step closer then to finding the resonant yes. But this is all internal work. This is all intuitive and creative work. And it's stuff we have to get into alignment before we can pull off the big shit. And to go along with that, of course, you can look up my book, Dreamcasting. It is on Amazon and in hard copy and in Kindle version. I am almost better, I swear. But that is really more geared toward, that book is more geared toward the business person, to somebody who needs to learn how to intuitively plan and incorporate that into some business plannings, marketing plans, and financial planning and all that. If you don't have a business now, I would say the first step to really getting this idea is to look into getting the 2018 year ahead session, because that, I'm going to pull out my deck and we're going to go through 2018 month by month to see what external influences are going to be there to support you and what they're going to support, what actions are going to support, so that you can then look at your plans in a totally different way. Because if you're getting, and if the cards and my guides and your guides are indicating that there's going to be this mountain that you have to climb come next spring, we're going to start looking at how you're going to plan that spring in a totally different way, in a way that's going to come from heart, that's going to come from soul, that you're going to say, I am ready to take that mountain on. It's going to be fun. Because that is the point of coming into alignment. That is the point of being in flow with divine timing. It's not this complicated issue where if something doesn't happen the way we want it to, as easy as breathing, that it doesn't mean it's going to happen. It just means we need to grow. We need to grow our roots, we need to grow our energy, and we need to grow into a new way of being so that this stuff will flow. And this is about us growing into more than who we thought we were, who we thought we could be. And it takes a little bit of discernment, and it takes a little bit of information, and it takes a little bit of you being able to know how the intuitive and the creative process works through you. And the more you attune to that, the easier it's going to get. Because you're going to be like, I'll see where that pattern comes into play. Let me rummage around in my bag of tools that I have, my soul medicine tools, and see what I can do with that right now. Because I really still want to do this thing. And I have to get myself ready for that. And the 2018 look ahead reading is going to help get you there. And it's going to help put the tools in your soul tool bag all lined up and ready to go for when you need them. And once you get the reading, which is a 90-minute reading live with me, we're just going to go through it. We're going to go through the year. We're going to see what themes and patterns are coming up for you and how you can best start being proactive about that. You're also going to get, it's probably going to be like almost a 60-page report at this point, about the influences and the astrological timing behind 2018 and what it means that 2018 is a number 2 year and a number 11 year. It's going to be a very big year for a lot of people, and especially come fall. There's going to be huge awakenings to soul purpose. And we have to get ourselves ready for that shit, because it's going to be freaking amazing. So I will drop the link for the reading package so that you can book that. And it is on, there's a special price on that until the 10th. So that's only 3 days. So you only have 3 days in order to get the reading plus the whole report for only $50. After that, it's going to go up to $75. And I will start offering the report by itself as a standalone product for probably like $15 or $20. I haven't quite decided yet, because I'm still like, oh my God, packing, unpacking, and now packing for a trip. And yeah, winging a prayer sometimes. But you know what? We don't all need a granite foundation under us in order to create the movement and the manifestations we want to see in this world. Sometimes we just need a strong breeze and our own internal light strong behind us. And we don't need everything worked out. And we don't need the solid structure, the perfectionist visions of saying like, well, when I have my house set up, I'll start doing my business again. I could have told myself that, but I knew that, you know, I am not the kind of person who ever gets things set up only one way. I am the kind of person who loves to delve into changing things up every now and again. So then when would that solid basis be for me to, in order to begin doing my videos again and my live readings? And, you know, when would that happen? Well, it happens just because I want to get on there and I want to talk to you people about important intuitive shit. So it does depend on your mind frame. It does depend on where things are coming in intuitively and where you know you are in your process and how you're going to work that shit. All right. I'll probably see you either tomorrow or Saturday. We're really trying to push hard to get the rest of the boxes and the rest of the stuff out of the house at this point because, you know, it's coming to be winter up here in Pennsylvania. And, you know, you can't count on the weather. And we have to have all of our stuff out by like mid-January. So we're pushing hard to get that done so we can enjoy our trip and our holidays. So I will see you as I can. And I will see you soon. And I love you. And if you have any questions, feel free to ping me on your Super Secret Powers. That's my business page on Facebook. And I'll talk at you soon.